I already have over 1,000 miles on the new LX, and I've already had some minor problems with the LX. We're going to discuss everything in today's video. So with that being said, let's just jump right into it. This is the first leg on my long journey of LX ownership. I pre-purchased maintenance and warranty coverage to just over 100,000 miles, and I plan on putting at least that on this car and potentially more. And the whole reason why I'm doing this is to find out if Toyota's new platform, and more importantly, if their new turbo hybrid powertrains are reliable. This is supposed to be the most reliable version of Toyota's new hybrid twin turbo V6. And that's because here in the LX, they've got some redundancies built in. So the biggest thing that you guys need to know is basically if the hybrid part of the powertrain fails, the engine can still run without the hybrid because it still has a traditional starter and everything. And this also comes with fancy height adjustable hydraulic suspension. Well, if that fails, this has traditional springs that the LX can sit on and still drive. And you probably noticed that I've got aftermarket tires and wheels on this car, and this is actually related to the first issue. My wife and I took the kids up one of the mountain trails here in Utah on the stock tires and wheels, and we got a puncture pretty quickly. It was basically a couple miles up the trail and a couple miles down, and on the way down we got a puncture, and I would rate this trail as like a 1 out of 10. Like, it's a graded dirt road with some rocks. I mean, there's a few bumps here and there, but you could literally take a Toyota Camry up this trail. So I will say, the stock tires on any of these new Toyota trucks are absolutely pathetic. You're gonna have to replace them, and I understand why Toyota makes the tires so soft and pathetic. It's for noise and for ride quality right out of the gate, but in terms of actual use, it just doesn't work. So I threw on the takeoffs from the Land Cruiser that we just finished the testing on, that, the new 250, and not only do these fit on the LX, but I think they actually look better on the LX than on the Land Cruiser. The plus 25 offset with the 33s just works really well with the body lines of this car, and then also with the fender flares that the Overtrail has. And this actually leads me to the next problem, which is tire size. So these are 33s, and this is the biggest tire that you can fit on the new LX Overtrail without removing stuff, cutting stuff, etc. If I do full crank, which I can't because, well, I'd have to be holding the steering wheel, but you guys got to trust me on this. I always tell you guys the truth. It is like almost touching the liner here on the front, and then if it's turned the other way, it's almost touching on the back. But the good thing about the back is you actually can remove that little splash guard, so you could create a little bit more space. But either way, unlike the GX, the new Land Cruiser, the new 4Runner, Tacoma, etc., this can't fit 34s. All those vehicles can fit 34s with very minor rubbing. 34s on this cause the car to rub against the sway bar, and it actually causes the whole body to move. Like, it's a massive amount of rubbing. And just to be clear, we tried 34s with the stock wheels that are a plus 45 offset, so they're less aggressive than these plus 25 offset wheels. And so with the plus 45 offset stock wheels, they weren't even 34s, they were 33.7. They're the 285 by 70 by 18 that I had on the 250 Land Cruiser. They just don't fit. So this obviously isn't an issue for the other new Toyota trucks and SUVs, but it is a problem for the LX, and kind of shows you how rushed the packaging is on this 300 series. Now, before we go over the last minor thing, I do want to talk about some good things that I've experienced so far. First off, I am obviously not a fan of the front end style of the LX. I think that the top part of the grille and front face look good, but then once you head down to the bottom, and the same thing for the new GX 550, it just looks weird. The bumper area is just funky. But having off-road style wheels and having more aggressive tires, it actually makes the LX look a bit more palatable. I still won't call the front end pretty, but this isn't nearly as offensive. So if you do, again, off-road style wheels like this, then it helps out a bit. And if you guys are wondering, these wheels are 9-3. It's a company that's here in Utah. It's my friend that actually owns the company. If you're interested, I'll just include a link to his website in the description down below. Now, another thing I've actually liked that I didn't think I would like is the soft closed doors. So this has soft closed doors, and I was like, this is a stupid luxury feature, I'll never use it. And well, let's just say when the kiddos and the wife close the door, they don't actually close the door fully, and this makes it so the door gets closed fully. It's nice not having to walk around the car and like shut every single door twice. So I have, I guess, fallen in love with a stupid luxury feature. Now something else that's actually come in handy is the outlet situation. So you've got a 2400 watt inverter, as you can see, tons of power, which means that you've got a lot of different stuff that you can actually power up with this. It makes it very handy. And having the third row deleted from this has been great. We've used the cargo area in this several times and it feels about as usable as the 200 series. Not quite, but pretty close, and so that's good enough for me. I've also enjoyed the built-in sunshades so far. We've also used those for the kids. I do have window tint on this. People always ask me about the window tint. Basically, I do really dark in the back and then I do lighter up front. Just with Utah laws and everything, you can't have it, like, people do limo all around. First off, you can't see out the windows at night, and secondly, it's not legal. I've also enjoyed these new seats and everything. The material is really nice. I love the green stitching that comes with this. Again, I don't know if this is on all of the LXs. I've only seen it on my LX. I haven't seen green stitching on any other one. I wonder if it's like specific to the Nori green. But yeah, these seats are comfortable. They've been easy to clean so far, so that's been a benefit. We haven't used any of these fun creature comforts in the back because both the kids are in car seats, but I mean, maybe in the future. I guess this is a minor thing I didn't think about, but I have not enjoyed all the warnings every single time I start up the car. It always tells me like, this is off and that's off. I'm like, yes, I did turn off some of the safety tech because it's annoying. Now this is actually the first car I've ever used the heads-up display. Seriously, every single time a car has a heads-up display, I just go, cool, don't ever look at it. But this one, with the Apple CarPlay, I actually pressed that, you can see, got that connected. It does the navigation there in the heads-up display, and it's actually been pretty useful. Again, I'm not a huge techie person, but it's user-friendly enough that I like it. And speaking of user-friendly, I have tested out so many cars over the years. This is the only car that I've ever, knock on wood, we'll see if it continues to work. This is the only car that I've ever had Apple CarPlay be reliable that's wireless. I've had Apple CarPlay work that's like wired, but this is wireless Apple CarPlay, and so far it's been extraordinarily reliable. And yes, I have literally not used this screen once. I think actually I used it once to adjust the climate, but after that I just literally used the toggles, and so like this bottom screen is completely useless. But what's not completely useless is the cool box. I've used it for both storage of stuff, but then also actual like food items. This is an underrated feature that's, again, I know it's a luxury feature. It is nice to have though when you go to the grocery store, and I live like 20 minutes from the nearest grocery store that I actually go to, so it's nice. The phone charging pad is very, very slow, so that is one thing that's a little bit of a downside with the car, is the fact that it just heats up your phone for the most part and barely charges it. This thing's kind of neutral. I still don't like the spacing here in the leg area for the driver and then also for the passenger as well. I will say though, what I've done is kind of shifted myself in the seat a little bit, and you can see shifting myself in the seat, I sit a bit more comfortably. Now I'm kind of sitting more on this bolster, if that makes sense, rather than on the driver bolster. And so yeah, it's a little bit of a shimmy when I first get in, but I have made this work. But again, I wish I didn't have to make this whole kind of like knee room situation work. Last thing before we get into the other item is going to be the fuel economy. So now that the engine is broken in, I've been consistently averaging over 17, which means that, and again, it's cold outside, I'm getting as good and actually better in the cold than what I was getting with the 250 Land Cruiser. In the 250 Land Cruiser, if it was anything below 70 degrees, my fuel economy would drop down to like 15 miles per gallon. This has been far more consistent. On the days that it's been 90 plus degrees, I've gotten over 17, almost 18. And on the days that it's colder like this, it's not super cold, but it's still 55, it still gets over 17 miles per gallon. And so it just seems like the powertrain handles the size of vehicle this is and the tires and everything much better than that 4-cylinder in the 250. The last problem is with the little jack here in the back. There's this little knob that you twist and it goes up against that little piece right there. Now I'm not exactly sure how this happened, but somehow the whole thing came loose and it took me a while to figure out what it was. I kept hearing this like knocking and rattling in the back, and I was like, am I having a repeat of what happened with the Ineos Grenadier? Where I had the constant rattling. And so yeah, kind of somewhat of a similar situation. But yeah, if you hear rattling in the back, check this thing out, because if it's loose, it'll literally just bang around against all these metal pieces and make a ton of noise, and you'll think there's something potentially wrong with your car. In reality, it just isn't placed in there properly. So as you guys can hopefully see, the first 1,000 miles have actually been really good for a new car. Most of the cars I test have much bigger issues. The biggest issue with this is the tires so far. And I will say that the tire thing is really obnoxious. I think that Toyota needs to fix it. And I will say that this has actually left a pretty bad taste in my mouth for Toyo. And I know that Toyo is just doing what Toyota is telling them to do, but I don't think I'm ever going to buy a Toyo again in the future after experiencing a puncture on the side of a mountain with my family. I have ran BFGs, I have ran Nittos, I've ran Toyos, I have ran Duratracs, I've ran pretty much every single tire out there, and the Nittos have been the best in terms of ride quality, noise, reliability, durability, everything. And we'll see how well those BFG KO3s do on the Wrangler long term, but I think that with all the testing I've done, I'm probably just going to run Nittos on all the vehicles in the future. Lastly, compared to the GX550 and the 250 Land Cruiser, I've actually enjoyed driving this much more, both on-road and off-road. Again, it does have some packaging issues, but it still is just a better feeling vehicle overall. That is the first update with the 300 series. The next update will be at 5,000 miles, unless something major and bad happens before 5,000 miles, and that'll be the first service, by the way. This week's giveaway makes my Jeep look lame because it is a supercharged Rubicon 392 that is fully decked out, producing 650 horsepower. Now, not only can you win this Rubicon 392, but part of the giveaway is also $26,000 in cash to help pay for the taxes. And not only that, your donations go towards helping children's and veterans charities. So use code BHC or click the link in the description down below or in the pinned comment. Any donation, $25 or more, will give you 4x bonus entries.